Hello and welcome to the Manager Support webinar. Our topic today is a manager's guide to the Employee Assistance Program. Our presenter for today's webinar is Delphi Medina.
Good morning.
Delphi is a senior EAP account representative in the UT Employee Assistance Program and the UT Counseling and Work Life at UT Health Houston. My name is Michelle Mata and I will be your host for today's webinar. We also have Josh Gilmore from the Office of Human Resources here to assist with any benefit-related questions. Want to say hi, Josh?
Hello.
So in this webinar, managers will learn how the EAP can assist managers and bring value to their employees in the areas of stress management, mental well-being, fitness and nutrition, legal and financial services, child care and elder care searches, and more. Before we get started, we want to share some reminders to help you stay engaged in this webinar and in future webinars. In the Manager Support page, you can locate the webinar schedule, view past webinars, and find additional manager support resources. You can find the page by visiting the HR page and clicking on Manager Support, then Webinars on the left. For this webinar, we will be using the Q&A feature. If you have a question or concern at any time during the webinar, please use the Q&A feature to communicate with the host and presenter. We'll address questions either at the end of a section or at the end of the webinar. If you utilize the chat feature, there is a chance that the presenter, who is in Houston, will not be able to see your question, so we highly encourage the Q&A feature. You'll also want to save the date for the next two upcoming webinar topics. Active shooter and workplace violence awareness will be covered by UT Police on November 19th and 20th, and inclement weather procedures will be covered by the UT Environmental Health and Safety Department on December 3rd and December 4th. At the end of the webinar, we encourage you to complete the survey. This will help us answer questions that weren't asked, brainstorm on future topics, and improve the webinars. The link will be in the chat box, and in fact, it's in there now. So now let's begin the session with Delphi.
All right, thank you so much for attending to this morning's webinar. I appreciate it, and please let everyone know that we will be having another one tomorrow afternoon if they miss coming to this one this morning. So I wanted to start off on talking about your Employee Assistance Program benefits, and that consists of counseling and work-life benefits. So I am going to start with mental health counseling. So as employees for all of UT Health San Antonio, you have 5 counseling sessions which consist of mental health that are afforded to you and extends to your spouse, significant other, life partner, children in the household per presenting issue. So what that means is whether they're on your insurance or not, as long as they live in the household, they can be extended to the mental health counseling benefit. Counseling is not just any type of psychiatric or chemical dependency issue. It can be marital, it can be relationship, it can be life transition, it can be grief and bereavement, it can be family issues, it can be adolescent therapy, children's therapy. We cover a variety of subjects. And you will get 5 sessions per issue. So what I like to tell everyone, because some of you may have come to my table because I'm always there at the summer annual benefits fair, is that you always call in one issue at a time. So let's say that you're experiencing stress. So you want to call in, say I want to have a counseling case opened on stress, and you'll have 5 counseling sessions for that. Let's say that you're having some relationship issues. You can call back in, get another case open on relationship, and get another 5 sessions free. Let's say that you're having some work difficulties with a coworker. So you can call in, say I have a work-related issue, and you can get a new set of 5 counseling sessions. If you call in and say I have stress, a work-related issue, and a relationship issue, you're only going to get 5 for all of those 3 issues. So I highly recommend you call one issue at a time. If, for any reason, you need long-term therapy, long-term counseling, so for some of the people who experience anxiety, depression, and they need long-term, we will give you about 3 cases, which is 15 sessions. and then we'll ask you to transfer over and start paying your copay. Any of the referrals that you obtain from us will be on Blue Cross Blue Shield, so that you don't have to start over and tell your story to a new provider. So any referrals that you receive from us will be on the Blue Cross Blue Shield panel if you need to have long-term counseling. So I went over who is eligible and how many sessions you have. Does anybody have any questions at this time on those particular areas that I just talked about before I move on?
And just remember, if you have questions at any time during the webinar, feel free to type those into the Q&A session, or the Q&A panel rather, and we'll address those for you.
All right, so I want to go over the provider network. In our provider network, you have access to people who are licensed clinical social workers, which I'm one of those. You have licensed professional counselors and licensed marital and family therapists. All of those particular providers are master's level clinicians. You also have access to psychologists which are at the PhD doctoral level. So we credential all of those people. If for any reason that you're needing psychiatrists and need an evaluation for psychotropic medication, we do not credential medical doctors or psychiatrists. So we will kindly refer you to Blue Cross Blue Shield to obtain referrals for those types of services. Usually you find that number on the back of your Blue Cross Blue Shield card where it says MHCD, which is mental health, chemical dependency issues, and you can call them and they can give you referrals that are in network through Blue Cross Blue Shield. If you need any help with that, we're more than happy to help facilitate getting those referrals and guiding you through that process. So that's the provider network. What happens is that when you call in, because obviously we are here in the Texas Medical Center in Houston, we have providers credentialed all over the state of Texas, even outside of the state of Texas, because some of our contracts outside of the UT system have employees that are outside of Texas and outside of the local Houston area. So when you call in, you'll be giving your demographics, which is a short intake. We get your name, we get your date of birth, we get your address, we find out how long you've been with UT Health San Antonio, if you're full-time, if this is your first time calling in. So they'll ask you those types of questions, race, if you're married. And then they'll say, what zip code would you like your provider to be found in? So some of you may want to go right before work or right after work or during your lunch hour. So you'll want to provide the UT Health San Antonio zip code. Some of you may not live in San Antonio or not that close to UT Health San Antonio, so you may want to pick your residential zip code where you live. Whatever the case may be, we will give you a mile radius of providers within that zip code area. The front desk will email you those providers, and then you will choose who you want to go to. You know your schedule better than we do, so you will call those providers, whoever gets you in first, schedule, and then all you have to do is call the front desk or email the front desk back from that email that they sent saying, here's who I picked, here's my appointment date and time. That way we just send the authorization over there, and all you have to do is show up and you pay nothing. So that's how the process works. If for any reason that you call during business hours and you don't get a live front desk person, or you call after business hours, on the weekends, or during holidays, you will always get a live person. That will be our answering service, which is Horizon. If it's a non-emergent issue, then it will be handled the next business day. If it is an emergent issue, then you will be transferred to the on-call clinician. We do have an on-call clinician. It rotates every month. So if for any reason that you need in-the-moment support counseling and you're in crisis, you can call our number at 713-500-3327 or the 1-800 number, and you can ask for the on-call clinician, and you will be provided in-the-moment support. And then that on-call clinician will follow up depending upon what the situation is. I do want to note that sometimes we get calls, and if the employee or the family member that they're calling for is presenting with suicidality, which is harm to self, or homicidality, which is a plan to hurt someone else, hurt others, then we will be obligated to do a mental health welfare check. So San Antonio PD may be showing up if you cannot contract for safety or go to the nearest local emergency room. So I do want to be mindful of people who call in like that because we take those calls very seriously. The only time that we can break confidentiality is in the case of suicidality, homicidality, report of child abuse, or elder abuse. Those are the only times we can break. Whenever you call in to us to set up counseling, it is confidential. We do not report anything back to UT Health San Antonio outside of utilization reports. That's given on a quarterly basis, and it only has numbers like there is X amount of cases open on marital, there is X amount of cases open on legal consultation, there is X amount of cases open for financial consultation, there is X amount of cases open on mental health. So it's only numbers. There's no identifying information. We do not take Social Security numbers for our demographics. We only get name and date of birth. So we do not provide any of that information, so it's totally confidential. Are there any questions at this time over everything that I covered for the mental health EAP counseling benefit?
Delphi, we have a question about whether like aunts or grandparents that live in the household can utilize the service.
So as long as I stated, whoever lives in the household is granted the mental health counseling benefit. So I know nowadays that sometimes we have our parents living with us, we have our in-laws living with us, we have nieces or nephews or grandchildren living with us, cousins. As long as that person lives in your immediate household, they can't live over in San Marcos, they can't live in Austin, they can't live 2 streets behind you. As long as they live in that household, whether they are on your insurance or not. So sometimes we have adult children that come back and they're living in your household at 40 years old, and they may not have a job, and thus they may not have insurance. So we will grant the mental health counseling benefit as long as they live in your household. Good question.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I'm not seeing any questions in the Q&A or on the chat. I think we're good for the moment.
All right. So I'm going to transition into your work-life benefits. So your work-life benefits consist of legal consultation, financial consultation, child care resource referral, elder care resource referral, the simple will, and we have a new feature for work-life care kits. So I'm going to go one by one. First, I will talk about legal consultation. You are afforded a 30-minute legal consultation for each new presenting issue that you call in for. The only legal consultation we will not provide is if you're going to sue UT Health San Antonio. If for any reason your partner, significant other, spouse, they have a job and they're wanting to call about an employment issue at their job, we will still not be able to provide the employment consultation. So employment consultation is off the record for anybody, whether it's you, the employee, or the spouse. So you can call in for immigration, you can call in for adoption, you can call in for divorce, you can call in for a civil issue, you can call in for, DWI, you call in for any of those. A state, as long as it's a new issue each time, you get a free 30-minute consultation. We are not Legal Shield, so I know Legal Shield goes through, you have to enroll and something comes out of your paycheck. If you choose to retain the lawyer that you talk to, then you can get 20 to 25% off your case. And you can request either over the phone or in person. Are there any questions over legal consultation benefit at this time?
Oh, I think we're good to continue.
Okay. So we'll move on to financial consultation. Financial consultation consists of savings, budgeting, if you're getting ready to retire or wanting to start looking at setting up for retirement, debt consolidation, and identity theft. So I'll go into that. Each one of those is a new presenting issue. You can get a free 30-minute consultation. For savings, is just learning how to save. They'll probably email you some tools on what you can set up Excel-wise or any type of money management tools so that you can help with that. Budgeting is the same thing. If you're wanting to talk about basic financial education, like what's the difference between a Roth and 401k and 403b and a mutual fund and Bitcoin and all of those types of things, they will give you that education. If you're going to say, hey, what do I need to put my money in? Do I need to put $100,000 into Nike and $20,000 into Krispy Kreme? They're not going to do that. So you need to talk to your investment firms at the benefits fair or whenever UT Health San Antonio HR invite them to campus to talk about those particular things. But if you need basic education on the differences of all those different things for financial and setting up for retirement, then they'll give you that basic education. In regards to debt consolidation, they can talk to you about credit card or school loan debt consolidation. And then finally, on identity theft, that will not be a one call for 30 minutes. That's usually is 3 calls at 45 minutes each because of the thoroughness that you have to do when that happens. So that's a pretty good service. We get a lot of positive feedback from because there's lots to cover when that happens to you. So that covers the financial consultation. Are there any questions on financial consultation at this time?
Josh, which are the investment firms that we contract with?
Currently it's Valak, also known as AIG, Lincoln Financial, Fidelity Investments, TIA, CREF, and Lincoln Financial.
Okay, so if they had specific investment questions then, they would need to speak to those that they're investing with.
Right, and then also we'll have our retirement vendors coming to campus in the Alt-C in November, so there's going to be plenty of opportunity to meet with financial representatives.
Okay.
So they can tell their employees.
Okay, so where should they go to find out where those individuals are going to be?
Our communication will actually be releasing this week.
Perfect. Okay.
So you'll find it in our newsletters and our communications email around UT Health.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
All right. So finally, we're going to transition into the child care, elder care resource referral. So I want to precedent that it's resource referral. When I'm at the benefits fair, they're real quick to say, oh, you're going to pay for daycare. No, we're not going to pay for daycare. We would go broke. But we can help you with resources for your children. So for example is if you have a chronic needs child, special needs child, has terminal illness, you can call in and they can find the research for new FDA trials if you're needing help with funding, stuff like that. So you can call in for those if they're dyslexic and they need dyslexic tutoring, if they're needing IQ testing, vocational testing. If you're wanting to find a camp other than the YMCA camps during the summer, then they'll do those research for you and email it or send it in the mail, whichever that you prefer. That if you're looking for daycare centers or looking for specific au pairs or nannies, then they can research that and send you those. That's what we mean by child care resource referral. For elder care resource referral, if for some reason you've got your parents or your in-laws and they're not in San Antonio and they're living in Salt Lake City, Utah, and all of a sudden one of them becomes ill and you're having to look for assisted living, home health, hospice, then you don't have the first clue of where to look, you can call in and they will do that research for you and send that to you. If you need to get medical equipment like a hospital bed or oxygen tanks or wheelchairs or canes, then you can call in and they'll find those facilities to where you can call and purchase and inquire. So that's what we mean by elder care resource referrals. Are there any questions on that, on those two areas at this time?
I'm not seeing any questions, but we can go ahead and clarify. For those that are needing assistance or wanting to budget their child care or elder care a little better or a little differently, we can utilize the flexible spending accounts for that. Josh, when is open enrollment for that if they're not already in it?
July 15th through 31st is open enrollment with the effective date of September 1st.
Okay.
Yep.
So that'll be an annual. There is a maximum that you can contribute. You can't go past that per IRS.
Right.
But then it's definitely a way of being able to utilize pre-tax dollars for being able to set aside monies for child care and elder care.
All right. Thank you for adding that. Finally, we're going to go to the simple will. So what I want to say is that Simple will is the only benefit that's not extended to any member in the family except the employee. So unfortunately, spouse, significant other, life partner is not eligible. Only the employee himself, herself are eligible for the simple will. You can simply call the main number and ask for the will kit to be sent to your house, or in a minute I will be showing you on the website where you can go to download and fill it out according to template for will for a married person or will for a single person. So that is the only EAP benefit that does not extend to the rest of the family in the household. So finally, I want to go over, this is a new feature. It's called Work-Life Care Kit, and you can call the main number. You're only allowed one per household, so you can order all of them or you order them as your life transitions. So we have 5 care kits available that you can call in for. We have a pregnancy care kit, and it's kind of like the little boxes that you see that you get in the mail. And if you know that book, What to Expect When You're Expecting, you can get that free in the care kit, which is a nice little sum of change that you can save. We have a new baby care kit, which is the first year from that same series of What to Expect When You're Expecting. You'll get that book for the first year and stuff that you may need as a new parent. We also have a child safety care kit that you can order, and that will help for safety issues like giving you the plugs to put in the wall socket so they don't electrocute themselves and stuff, so that's a neat little kit. We also have an active adult care kit that you can ask for, and it has a pedometer. I know that's old school now with all the Fitbit bands and smartwatches and Garmin's, but it is a neat kit if you're an active adult. And finally, there's an elder care kit, and that gives you a pretty extensive big book of elder care resources of issues that you face when you are aging. So you can call in and get those, and it's one per household. So I wanted to let everybody know about that because that's a new feature for our EAP benefits. Are there any other questions over mental health counseling or work-life benefits at this time before I transition to the website?
Let's see, Delphi, we got 2 questions that came up.
Okay.
One had to do with if they are dealing with a family member in the household who has drug and alcohol addiction. What resources are available for that?
So if someone has an alcohol or drug issue and y'all call in, we'll probably ask if the person is with you or if you're inquiring for that person. If the individual is with you, we'll probably do a mini assessment and see if that person is willing to go get assessed in the San Antonio area. So then we would refer them to community resources, and or if we think that they're needing to get assessed for detox or inpatient residential treatment, then we'll refer through Blue Cross Blue Shield to see what's in network to best assist them if they're willing to go. So that would be first and foremost on the alcohol and drugs. If they're like just wanting to talk about they're starting to abuse or something, then we probably will refer to our provider network and see where that goes from there. If they're in imminent harm, again, that may be mental health welfare check depending on what the situation is.
Thank you. And then I think we've got one more question before we jump into the website. If there's resources for fitness or nutrition for those wanting gym discounts or following keto or paleo diets.
So for I know for UT Health Houston, because I know Blue Cross Blue Shield goes to all of the sister locations, if you are a current gym member, it would behoove you to call Blue Cross Blue Shield to find out if your gym is on the discount list so that you can get a cut rate and a discount for your membership fees if they have signed a contract with Blue Cross Blue Shield to be one of those recognized gyms. So there's one bit of information. I don't know if a lot of people know about that. I'm going to show on the website where you can talk about work-life balance and also all the other areas pertaining to health, not just the medical side when we're talking about blood pressure and diabetes, but also stress, because stress is a big factor, and those being affected when you're not in balance and you're not doing a lot of self-care. So we have a groovy little app that I'll show you where to find on the website that you can do your stress level every day, and they can give you a report, and the app is free through the App Store, Google Store. So I'll show you all that in a minute. What was the other question? I forgot, Michelle.
Oh, with nutrition regarding keto.
So we do have nutrition stuff on the website. They don't have it broken down on the website when it comes to the paleo, gluten-free, keto. If you're a vegetarian or you a flexitarian, they don't have it broken down on the website like that, but I will give that feedback to the website so we can start getting some information up on that.
All right. And that's all the questions at this moment.
Okay. So I'm going to transition to the website. So if you can see this is what our website looks like, and I'm going to show y'all what you can find as employees, and then as we have people from HR on the phone and also from management, supervisor, leadership levels of how this website can help you. So if this is just the home page that hovers, what I'd like you to look at as in regards to employees, because all of you are employees. This is our home page, and then you can get to our work-life benefits website here, and to get in, you always use UTEAP lowercase for your username and password, and I'll show you how to get there as soon as I finish going over a couple of these categories on the side. If you ever want to see our UTEAP brochure, that's where you can find it. And so if you want to show your employees, that's where you go. A good feature that we have is the employee newsletters. So I know that San Antonio HR receives these, so I don't know if they do an email blast or they put it on their website, because I know that they've revamped the HR website. But we have all of our work-life and wellness newsletters archived all the way back to 2017. So you have a work-life newsletter, an employee newsletter, a Spanish employee newsletter for those of y'all who have employees that are Spanish-speaking only, and then a supervisor newsletter. This is usually posted the second week in November, so for November it should be up by the end of next week. So this is where all the newsletters are, and it gives you really good tips. Sometimes it's based on the seasonal things, so I know like in October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, they'll have stuff like that. They're always on the supervisor newsletter, there's always work-related tips. So that's where you find the newsletters at. We do have employee orientation, so if you have new hires that are coming on, they can go to this link. I'm not going to put it on because it starts playing right away, but you can go to that link and it'll give you an overview of basically what I'm doing right now on your EAP benefits. So I wanted to show that to everyone. And then we have frequently asked questions. As for human resources and managers, this is a tab. Again, here's the program brochure. If you don't want to give that big and print it out and you just want to give them a wallet card, here's wallet card template that you can print out and hand out to your employees. We do have these hard print posters, so if any of you would like to put this up in break rooms or on walls within your departments, all you have to do is contact me and tell me how many you want, and I will mail these out to you so you can promote EAP to your employees. And then again, here is the link for the supervisor newsletter. We do have that leadership manual. It's outdated. We're in the process of updating this and the leadership training. You can check it out, but it's really outdated. We're in the process of revamping that. So the other thing I wanted to show you is education and training. These are the trainings that we provide on these particular topics, and you can just click on them and it'll give you the video. You can print out the script and you can have your employees watch them on those particular issues. The other thing I wanted to talk about is supervisor consultation. Of course, you can always call UT Health San Antonio HR, Employee Relations, if you need guidance on how to deal with an employee. We are also here for that. I am specifically over the UT Health San Antonio account, so if for any reason you need to brainstorm about how to address an employee, you can always call and we can discuss. Part of my job is helping supervisors and sometimes having employees that are deteriorating and not productive in the workplace and assisting those employees to getting back to being productive in the workplace. So we do a lot of consultation on that. There's no charge on that, but we are here if for any reason you need to consult and brainstorm ideas. So finally, I want to go to legal and financial resources. And this is the other way to get to the work-life benefits page. So we're going to click here. And this is your work-life benefits website. So again, you use EAP and just type it again, and we'll get into this website. And this is the home page for EAP. And I'm going to go over some categories that I think may be beneficial for you as supervisors and also to show your employees if you have time. So this one is webinars. So I really like the home page for this because at the beginning of every month you will see what webinars are being afforded throughout the month. So today is going to be holiday stress, what to expect and how to cope. On November 14th, there's going to be a webinar on building self-esteem in children, and on November 19th is going to be learning the art of small talk. If you wish to register for this webinar, you will go here and you will register for it, and it'll give you all the instructions on what to do. If you want to find out exactly what those topics are about, you go to upcoming webinars and you click on that link, and it will give you a summary, and then also will give you a link if you want to register for that seminar. If you end up registering, and let's say, guess what happens, an emergency happens, and before you know it, you missed the webinar today if you want to go to the webinar today. You can go to the webinar library, and 365 days a year, 24/7, you will have access to all of these webinars. Usually the ones that are given this month will get uploaded into the library like 2 to 3 weeks after they're presented. So you have access to all of these webinars on these separate categories, and it will give you the video, it will give you the content, it will give you the transcript, and it will tell you exactly how long each webinar is. So you can do that during your breaks if you're lucky to get breaks at work. You can do it during your lunch time. You can do it on your own time. You have access to this. So in regards to what Michelle was talking about, to health and wellness, here's some of that mental health, emotional well-being as well, into the wellness part of things, life planning, coping. So I don't know if a lot of you knew about this, but this is a great feature to our website. Do I have any questions on the webinar part of this presentation?
I don't see any questions posted at the moment.
Okay. So I want to hover over each of the categories. So if we go to family and you click on any of these categories, you will find a wealth of information in each one of these areas. If you go to life, self-improvement, on the Stress Resource Center, you can take stress screenings. Disaster Resource Center, unfortunately, Houston's up there from time to time due to us flooding all the time and hurricanes. If you need information on housing, again, if you're not wanting to call in for your financial consultation, you can find a lot of resources under financial information, legal information. I'll show that in a separate website in a minute. Military life, I know San Antonio has base, so I always like to show this feature. So if you've got veterans or you have family members that are in military and they're having, they're coming back to civilian life, here's a wealth of information for them. So you can go there. Shopping and planning, for those of y'all who are coupon clippers, I like to show this part.
It's great for Christmas.
Great for Christmas and sales for the holidays that are coming up, or birthdays or anniversaries. So here's the shopping and planning. You can go here to get all the coupons, and then here you can click to see what discounts you have on this page, and then Smart Shopper Tips. So this is a really good place to know.
Hey, Chelsea?
Yes.
You can hear me? Did we talk about the discount center?
Yes, you can go to the Discount Center, and you can see what is on there, because that is eligible for all UT system employees that are, with us. So you can go in. I think there's a username and login. You get that through the work-life benefit, so that's UTEAP. Click on the discounts. That's under the life category, and you click to the left where it says Discount Center and click and see what you need to do for that. Sometimes it's like at tire shops, and there'll be certain tire shops that are offering a discount. I mean, it's different categories of stuff. You just got to look in there to see what you're needing and see if you can get a discount on it. Sometimes it's local restaurants. It just depends. Yeah. Or restaurant chains.
Do you mind if I show the discount center?
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. There's the thing right there. Sometimes they have the icon. Sometimes they don't. Yeah, I figured you had to log in. You have to create. It's always about username and password these days.
I have one created for something.
Okay. Give us just a second. We're in a shared conference room, so Josh is coming over to my computer.
Okay.
I do bring this up in our new hire orientation, but it's always good if our managers have this as well. Just so you can see some added benefits and discounts within UTEAP, not just what we provide.
Oh, so, I could have used that Disney.
Right. All these discounts that you see here, and then there's more categories all the way down below.
Yep. It's pretty extensive.
So, yeah, it definitely is. I just figured we'd bring it up.
Yes. Thank you, Josh.
No problem.
And then Retirement Resource Center for those of y'all who are getting ready to retire and looking towards that. As managers, supervisors, and HR, I always highlight showing you this. You can get a lot of good information when you're dealing with tough situations in the workplace. You can click on there and get a wealth of information, help with coworkers, handling change, especially when there's a lot of turnover in the department, or let's say that there was a sudden death of a long-term employee with the department, coping with traumatic events. This is a good tab to look at in regards to having handouts to give to your employees if any of these particular incidents occur. So all you have to do is click and you can print it out. And everything that I just showed here is right here on the left. Manager resources are links not only just for the national stuff, for compliance and ADA and all of those types of things, FMLA. There's a lot of different resources that you can click and find. So I want to cover health. In the Depression Resource Center, you have all the depression screenings you can take. You have all the anxiety screenings you can take. Same thing for suicide, for any of the addictions. Here, I wanted to focus on mental well-being. I mentioned an app that you can find. If you're Droid, it is the, what is the store? The Play Store. If it's iPhone, is it the App Store? Because I'm a Droid person. But if you go here where it says Mind Check, you can download this free through those stores, and you set it up, and every day you can put in your stress level by color, and it gives you a groovy little printout at the end of the week of where your stress level is. So this is where you go here, and you can sign up and log in. So that's really cool. Any of these categories, so if we go grief and loss, and this is where you'll find the screenings in regards to anxiety and depression. This will give you information if there's been a sudden death, and these are handouts to give and readings to give. in any of these categories. So I know this is real helpful for HR and supervisors to be aware of. So I really like this tab. There's a wealth of information. Again, here's the manager resources that I brought to your attention and the links. So compliance, accommodations, domestic violence, alcohol, drug, and critical incidents. All right. So finally, I want to get to my favorite one, which is legal and financial services. This is where you can get your will and medical and financial power of attorney. So I said that for the simple will, you can call in and get the will packet. If you don't want to do that and wait for it in the mail, you can come here and you'll go to Legal Tools and Forms, and you'll go to Personal Documents, because this will contain complaint letters, deeds, living trusts, personal service agreements, and wills. You'll click on this, and then you'll filter by Texas. And this will be Advanced Directive. And this will be, let's see. Then all of these will be templates for Texas. What I would like to say is, I don't care how young you are, how middle-aged you are, or how old you are, if you haven't done your will, it's imperative to get that done. Some of the most difficult calls that we get in the EAP office is that family members will call in or employees will call in and they're having to get medical and financial power of attorney because that was not set up and their loved one is in a coma, incapacitated, or died, and the state, the county has seized their assets and they're having to come in and they're having to fight to get in them. So I think it's very important that you get those three pieces done, and if you're wanting living wills, the same thing, to get those pieces done and get them in a safe place and let someone know about it. So obviously if you're going to keep it in a safe, you need to make sure that that safe is waterproof and fireproof. If you're going to keep it at a safe deposit box at a bank, then let a person know where it is and how to get access to it. If you're going to put it on a hard drive, you need to make sure, like a USB, you need to make sure that it is fireproof, waterproof, and a place where someone can locate. Technically, in the state of Texas, you could write your will on a napkin and have two people sign, and it's legit. If you want a formal process and you don't have a big, huge estate, you could do this template. If you want it notarized, I'm sure there's a notary at UT Health San Antonio, or you can pay a nominal fee at your bank to get it notarized. If you have that extensive of an estate, then you can fill out this template and call in for your legal consultation and either review over the phone or in person if it's within 30 minutes. If not, the lawyer will probably charge you a nominal fee over the 30-minute time. So I wanted to make sure that everybody understands where to find the templates. What you do is you go to My Documents and you create a username and password, and as long as you are a full-time employee with UT Health San Antonio, this is yours for life. And that's where you go. The other thing is, if you have land, you have a condo, an apartment, a townhouse, and you rent to people, if you want to do a lease and all of this stuff, you can find that here, and all you do is filter by Texas again. And you can do all that stuff, and it's all yours. The other thing I wanted to point out is legal information. If you have any questions and you don't want to come in for your legal consultation and you want to research it first, this is all the information in every one of these areas legally that you can find stuff on. And if you have questions, then you call in one issue at a time and you go over each one. So I don't know how many of you knew about all this, but this website is a wealth of information. So is there any questions on legal forms, anything of what I showed you on the website so far?
So Delphi, sometimes we have individuals that transfer to other UT systems schools, and one of the questions that's come up is whether or not they saved their legal information on this website, right, and created the will or whatnot. And let's say they transferred to UTSA, which happens to be in our same city,
Right.
Would they still be able to access these documents or these resources?
So we are not the EAP for UT San Antonio. We're only the EAP for UT Health San Antonio, which is the University of Texas Health Science Center at San Antonio. So the answer would be no. If you go to UT Tyler, University of Texas Health Science Center Tyler, then we are the EAP for them. If you go to UT RGV, we are the EAP for them. So it would be yours.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Are there any other questions? I was just curious if people would put in the chat box in the question, how many of y'all knew about all this stuff that you have access to? I'm just curious if y'all knew about it.
You could type in yes if you knew about it or no if you didn't.
I saw how many counseling sessions are available. You get 5 counseling sessions per issue, so always call in 1 issue at a time. So if you've got stress going on, then you get 5. Close out, and then call in for another issue, and you get a new 5.
All right. And Delphi, just to give you an answer, it's a unanimous no. We did not know about this.
This is why I love doing this, and please spread the word and show your employees or your coworkers about this so that they won't know until someone shows them, unless UT Health San Antonio wants to invite me to come do this in person, which I would love to do. So it's a wealth of information. Y'all have my contact information if you get stuck, because I know I went really fast in navigating the webinar. We just got this revamped again this year. It's a lot easier. I know it probably doesn't look easy, but it is a lot easier compared to where it was. So if you ever need help in navigating the website, you have my contact information. Just email me or call me, and we can get on, make an appointment, and I'll go with you over the phone to get you where you need to go.
Delphi, we have a question asking if you can show where the brochures are available on the website.
Yep. So let's go. So I know that I told you to you can go to www.uteap.org, but sometimes it doesn't come up for whatever reason. We're trying to work that out. So sometimes I just go through Google and just put UTEAP, and you can get the website there. And then if you go about UTEAP to find the brochures, you can find it under employees or HR managers. So I'm going to pick HR managers, and they're all right there. The brochure, the wallet card, the poster, and the employee orientation video. Good question. Any other questions?
Let's see. Oh, the one person who did know about it didn't know about the separate counseling issues. So yeah, definitely helpful. And somebody said they learned a lot in this webinar.
Good, good. Glad to hear. Yeah, tell everybody, always call 1 issue at a time. That way the utilization rate for UT Health San Antonio will go up, and they will like it because y'all are using the services.
Plus you get to maximize your sessions.
Yes, and you can get more. That's correct.
Okay. Delphi, I'm going to take control of the screen so I can show one more thing over on this side. So if you guys will give us just a moment, we're going to transition back over to my screen, and it'll take us just a moment. Okay. So we should be seeing the UT Health San Antonio, my UT Health website. And so one other way that you can be able to view the EAP is by searching UT EAP here in the search menu, and it's going to take a moment to think about it. We know the HR website can be a little difficult to navigate, so I wanted to show you this because it's going to come up as one of the top searches right here at the UT Employee Assistance Program. And then the website's here, the phone number's here, the toll-free number's here. I'm going to dismiss that. And you'll be able to look at some additional information here. The username and the password are the same, so it's really easy to access it. If you've got, again, your college students who are taking courses in other parts of the state or the country, they can be able to log in where they're at too. If they're experiencing issues either with their classes or their roommates or anything else that might be going on.
Yeah, I do want to say something to that point. I know that some of you have children that are in college, and yes, they have access to their student counseling centers, and sometimes we get calls that they did not have the best experience, and so they want to provide their child who's in college and obviously away from home to get therapy, to get counseling. So we have no problem in doing that because we know that they go home for the holidays and they may come home during summer and choose not to go to summer school, so they're still technically in the household even though they're at college. So we will find providers wherever they're going to school, and they can go to a provider in our network. So I forgot to mention that. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Well, we're going to stay on the line for an additional 5 minutes after the last question, just in case anything comes through. But I do want to thank you again. I'm going to put Delphi's information up here so you know how to reach her. Give me just a moment. There we go. So thank you again for attending today's webinar, and thank you, Delphi, for serving as today's presenter, and Josh for answering all of our benefit-related questions. And we also have, just a reminder, our survey. So please make sure you're using that survey link that's in the chat window to give us some feedback on how you felt about this particular webinar and what other topics may be helpful to you as a manager as you serve as a resource and a guide to your employees. Once again, we'll just kind of stay on the line for a little bit until we're able to address any other questions that might be coming through the pipeline. And I haven't seen any other questions come up just yet.
I just read, what is the website name again? It's UTEAP. You can go to www.utap.org. In case it doesn't come up, just go to Google and put UTEAP, and it'll come up to where you see that link, and click the first one, and you'll get there.
That's this one right here.
Yep.
All right. So you can go ahead and respond on chat, but for those of you that want to share this information with your employees almost immediately, type yes if you plan to do this within the next 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah, and then we're presenting tomorrow. If any of you would like to let your colleagues, coworkers, employees know, we're presenting an afternoon webinar of everything that I presented this morning. And it's at 2 p.m. Central, right?
2 p.m. Central, and they can be able to find that by going to the manager resource page on the in the HR department. So I'm going to go back to the My UT Health page. And just remember, this particular webinar is recorded, and so they can go to HR. It'll take a second thinking about it, and down to Manager Support, and click on Webinars. Within 2 weeks, we'll have this particular webinar up on here, so that way people can access them later. They're going to be there under the recorded webinars. And if you happen to receive information about this webinar by chance and you're not receiving them on a regular basis, you can always subscribe to the email list. This is where you can go to make sure that any new managers, any new supervisors, or if you have individuals that are going through our Along the Leaders Path program, they're wanting to receive these particular emails for the webinars, they can subscribe to the list here. So we want to be considerate of everybody's time, but we definitely thank you for joining in on this call. Hopefully it was a lot of great information, and once again, if you have individuals in your departments that want to attend, we'll be back at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Thank you.